Hello, welcome back to the Charity Shop Chat podcast. You're with myself, Charlotte Greenwood.
And with me, Mimi Cartwright. As always, this podcast is powered by the Charity Retail Consultancy, where we help charities maximise their retail performance, build brilliant shop teams, and raise as much money as possible for their incredible causes. The Charity Retail Learning subscription, in conjunction with the CRA, also provides almost 50 modules of online training specifically for charity shops. So make sure you check it out.
And on to today's episode then. It is a big one. So we are diving into the question, can everyone win? So we're looking at the future of retail, reuse and the circular economy, because that is all what we're here for. And to help us explore this, we're joined by someone who truly shaped the landscape of UK retail, Jan Marchant, the most recent winner of the prestigious Drapers Lifetime Achievement Award.
Jan began her fashion journey back in 1980 at the iconic Topshop before going to build Tesco's F&F brand into a powerhouse under her leadership. She led extraordinary growth at F&F, relaunched it online, and after a digital hiatus, championed forward-thinking innovations, including digital product passports. And importantly, she is known for her leadership style rooted in people, compassion, and in emotional intelligence.
I mean, that's a great ego boost, isn't it?
It's lovely. Thank you so much for that. It sounds like you're talking about someone else.
Not at
That's
all.
really great. Thank you.
She pioneered flexible working long before it became mainstream and supported parents throughout her organisation and really led with authenticity that truly transformed teams and culture. After nearly 20 years at the heart of Tesco's fashion business, she announced her retirement earlier this year, making her the perfect recipient of Drapers Lifetime Achievement Award. And she really does bring a unique perspective to this conversation as well, because she's also a trustee on the trading board at Isabel Hospice, giving her insight from both the commercial and charity retail worlds. I mean, there really isn't anything that she hasn't done at this point in time. So welcome, Jan. We are very excited to have you with us, and congratulations on your award. It's very much an incredible and well-deserved recognition. So yeah, claps all round.
Thank you, Charlotte, and thank you, Mimi. Really great to be with you today. Yeah, and such kind words.
I love doing that little intro to all of our guests because they're always there going, oh my God. It's a lovely ego boost. So you've had an extraordinary career in retail. You started your career in Topshop, which was iconic, and you went on to transform F&F into a major player. So looking back, what moments or achievements do you feel that most define your journey?
Yeah, well, thank you for that question. It's a good one, and if I think about the long career that I've had, there have been some key moments that I'll never forget. But I think the opportunity that I was given at Tesco to not only become a leader, but also spend time developing not only what I was doing, but how I was doing it. That sort of switch and light bulb moment is something that I'll never forget. And I think through time, the Tesco experience has got better and better on that. And it definitely was something that helped me really connect to the organisation, but also just to think about how important that is. So yeah, that was a big kind of light bulb moment for me, and something that made me kind of want to put in more effort to think about how we all show up and treat each other, and as a result, be more successful. So yeah, that probably was it, amongst a few other bits and pieces, of course.
That's lovely. And a lovely introduction to highlight that as like a momentous part of your career is very
it was.
lovely.
Thank you.
You were an early advocate for flexible working and supporting employees with families long before it was common in retail. What kind of inspired you to take on that approach?
I've got children, and I set out in my sort of working career, became a mum sort of fairly early on. I just don't think I did it the right way. I was so keen to prove myself and almost pretend that I wasn't a mum, and to prove that I didn't need to take my foot off the gas, that I probably just put myself under too much pressure. And as the kids got older, I could see that that wasn't always in their interests either. And of course, I had good childcare support and a lovely family. But, sometimes I should have made a decision to put the kids first, or go to that sports day, or be there in one of their moments when they needed me, when they were poorly. And I was scared to be honest about that at work, because I thought showing that kind of side of me would be kind of frowned upon. And honestly, I think in the era that I was working sort of through the late 80s, 90s, I'm not sure I was wrong. And I sensed quite quickly that I needed to, hide a little bit of that myself, and just put myself under too much pressure. So as the kids got a bit older, and I was working with teams, becoming a leader, loving the people I work with, and then noticing that they were starting their own families, I was keen to make sure that they had support, and they knew they had support from not just me, but from the people around them, to be really honest about when they might be struggling, and when the kids were, I don't know, in need of their support, or just I encourage them to talk about what's going on at home, because when we are ourselves at work, we're a much better employee and friend and colleague, and so I think it was more just like a natural encouragement that I found I wanted to give to people around me, so that they almost I don't know, I've kind of learnt from my mistakes. I didn't want anyone else to feel that they had to make the same mistakes as me. They probably still did, by the way, but I didn't want them to feel that pressure.
Yeah, that's so relatable though, isn't it? I've got two small kids, and throughout my career, I've been a working mum. And actually, out of my NCT class, I think I was the only one that went back to full time work, which
Yeah.
I was quite surprised about. Lucky that they could stay at home, but I didn't. Partly because I also wanted to go back to
Yeah.
work. I wanted to
Yeah.
kind of be that role model and show my kids that mummy can work too, and mummy can bring home the money. But yeah, it's so relatable, because you just feel like you have to do it all, but then you then feel like you're failing in both places. So at work, when you do have to leave work early to go pick up the kids because someone's fallen ill or anything like that, you feel like you're letting down your team or your manager. And then at home, you don't feel like that you're 100% present for your children. So having, managers and leadership that really understand that balance is so important, because like you said, you might still carry on doing it anyway,
Yeah.
but to be felt understood and reassured that it's okay,
Yeah.
whatever you choose to do. If you have to choose your family today,
Yeah.
then that's absolutely fine. You know that you'll go back to work and you'll get the job done.
Absolutely. And I think about this generations of kids that are coming through, and I don't know, it's my view that they benefit from
Mhm.
having parents and, carers with them, and not to be sort of passed from pillar to post, which I know isn't the case, but just that feeling that the kids count too
Yeah.
is just something we all want.
Yeah.
And let's talk about it at work,
Yeah.
and let's help each other out
Yeah.
and do a great job.
Whether it's charity or commercial, there are a lot of women working in retail, aren't they? So it's so much more important to be able to have that kind of conversation.
Yeah.
I remember in one of my old companies, we had a chat with the MD, like she had a chat with everyone, and someone said to her in the Q&A bit, how do you manage being a working mum? And she said, I just throw money at the problem. Which is true, you can do that, but not everyone has the luxury of being able to do that when you've got, a room of people who are on different wage salaries. So
Yeah.
to have those in leadership who know that sometimes you can't just throw money at the problem, and sometimes you do have to be home, you do have to leave work early, or come back into work a little bit later,
Yeah.
is brilliant. And yeah.
But
So
also, it's your heart, isn't it?
yeah,
The feelings, you might be able to throw money at it, but the feelings of and the
mum
guilt.
guilt. Yes.
The money can't take that away, I don't think.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely not.
Mm.
So moving on to the circular economy and kind of the future of retail then. So in your opinion, working for major corporate retailers, as well as now working on the trading board for Isabel Hospice, who've got 17 shops in Hertfordshire and an e-commerce platform and eBay. Do you think the shift towards reuse and resale is truly embedded in retail now, or do you think it's still in kind of the earlier stages?
Well, I think it's in its earlier stages, but it's really taking off quickly. And we can see that through looking at market share data. The reuse market is probably the biggest, fastest growing sector within that, which is fantastic news. So it almost feels like a generational shift. And wearing reused clothes is cool. But also, within the kids wear market, as a parent and now a grandparent, everybody feels the need to hand down clothes that, quite honestly, the kids didn't have on for very long because they grow so quickly. So in the kids wear market, there's an awful lot more, reusing going on that probably doesn't even show up in market share numbers because there's no money exchanged. But that passing on culture is something that everybody feels good about. So, yeah, I think it's growing. And as the sort of new generation of parents come through now, I think it's something everybody wants to do. So I think it's only going to get bigger and bigger. It's interesting because my one of my daughters is going to Japan next week, and on their kind of wish list, they want to go to the thrift shops. And actually, that's charity shops under another name, isn't it? It's about shopping it in a way that you kind of maybe got a bit of help with how to style it. But as a trend, it's great because it's cool as well as, big common sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the rise of thrift, of secondhand, of sustainability, it comes from a place of like complete need.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a need for that shift in terms
Mm.
of like environmental needs. But especially in Japan, they have a real strict policy on like fake designer wear. So your thrift shopping or your secondhand shopping in places like Japan are going to be 100% legit.
Wonderful, isn't it?
It's so
Really,
fantastic.
yeah, it is. It's great.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So you introduced digital product passports, which are a big step towards transparency. How do you see technology shaping the next phase of sustainable retail?
Yeah, great question. Well, it was under my leadership that the team found the tech basically that was available to be able to deliver on that digital passport, and such a good initiative that everybody wanted to get behind it. But as tech advances and what perhaps might be currently a QR code that people have to use, that is getting smaller and smaller, and the way that it's now sort of attached to a garment has become more and more sort of part of the garment, so that if interested, customers and all of us can see the sort of history of where the fabric came from and the raw materials came from, and all of that. So as tech gets better, and AI is going to play a huge part of this because,
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
information that sits behind the digital passport is currently loaded on in some way, and part of that
Yeah.
process at the moment will be manual, but I'm sure it won't be for long. So I think it's going to get even easier to kind of know what
Yeah.
sits behind the garment or any product that we're buying. And then we've got a choice, haven't we? And if we think we ought to be able to do better than that, we ought to be able to find a more sustainable source, then we can choose to opt out. And that will then create a sort of commercial decision making that will only encourage us to think about the environment even more. So, yeah, I think all good, but just like anything else that's going to benefit from technology, I don't think we can even imagine how fast that's going to change.
Yeah. And obviously, in a way, that is slightly terrifying, but so exciting to be
Yeah.
able to have that transparency, and yeah, be able to have these discussions a lot more openly, because of how that is being promoted
Yeah.
or discussed. It's a very exciting time for
Yeah.
sure for sustainability and for working together with consumers to be able to make that change.
Yeah.
So it's a fantastic
One of the things
initiative.
that really sort of fascinated me, it's still true now. Everyone who is involved in the fashion industry
Mm.
wants to do better for the planet, and they want to
Yeah.
do better, in term. So it never felt like an initiative that had to be pushed or objectives didn't have to be
Oh,
given,
wow.
because the will to do it is unquestionable.
Yeah.
And that in itself is going to give all of that, no matter how hard, going to give the whole conversation and topic a much better chance. So, yeah, I
Amazing.
think it's exciting.
Absolutely amazing.
So then, as part of that kind of national circular economy, what potential do you see for charity retail as part of that? And as you are now a trustee for a charity yourself, has that view changed at all since taking on that role? And full disclosure to the listeners, I used to work for Isabel Hospice, so
Yes,
Jan
that's
used to
how
be
yeah,
my trustee, fabulous
great
trustee. You know, you get the
times.
ones that are really operational, and then you get Jan who just wants to be able to give really, really good support. And that's what you want from a trustee when you work for a charity retailer, is you want the trustees to say, what help can I give you?
So it was great working with you, Charlotte, and thank you for your kind words. And look, the guys that are in the roles are the experts, and you are a real expert. So actually, my job is to support and to make sure that we can provide what is needed. And I think that sort of overview has shown me, and also can help Isabel Hospice, but also any charity shop organisation, probably feel confident that there is a growing market, and the opportunity is there. And as you mentioned, Mimi, the curated side of charity shops, which has really taken off in other countries, is an opportunity. Now, that does require training and skill, and charity shops are often run by volunteers, so it's harder to get to sort of almost train some of the skills that are necessary to be able to encourage that kind of presentation and customer experience. But nevertheless, it's an opportunity that somehow, organizations will overcome. So I think as a trustee, my belief is there that the market is growing and it will continue to grow. And there are challenges, the cost of living crisis and the costs involved in running charity shops have been really difficult over the last 2 years. But it's not a reason to be put off. I think where we are all starting to overcome some of those challenges and make some choices, then I think it's with the belief that it's going to be something that is a big opportunity for the future to raise money and support the charitable cause, which is it's the
Yeah.
purpose of the whole experience and it's the purpose of the whole organisation. But meanwhile, knowing that from a planet point of view, it makes absolute common
Hmm.
sense as
Yeah.
well. And from a customer point of view, it's amazing how people feel so good about that second-hand purchase or buying a bag of surprise items,
Yeah.
knowing that they've been clever enough to style it into an outfit and, feel very proud about that. So it's a win, 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 win,
Yeah.
win,
Yeah.
win. Yeah,
Yeah. Definitely everyone's winning.
yeah,
And kind of going back to your point, you said when you were at Tesco and F&F, there was such a want to do it. Everyone
yeah,
wanted to be sustainable, so it wasn't something that was pushed on them. And that is the same with charity retailers, that they want to make as much money as possible from their shops to go back to their cause for the charity.
yeah.
But how do you balance that kind of mission and margin and still achieve the objectives
I think it's a
that
great
you want to?
question. I mean, look, as I think many big organizations now have committees that have a sustainability agenda, and therefore the commercial teams have someone to answer to ensure that they are making progress and doing better every year. So whilst margin might be one of the KPIs, producing less carbon or taking some of those initiatives on board will also be another key driver. I mean, some of the sustainability initiatives have turned out to be economically beneficial too, but that isn't always the case. And so I think it's thinking long term rather than short term, and also knowing that customers expect it. So if we're not making that effort, then we're doing the wrong thing for customers, and that's the most important kind of stakeholder at the end of it all.
Absolutely. I have to say it's really exciting. I think we do a lot of the times sit in a bit of an echo chamber with charity retailers who've had years and years of experience trying to do the same thing. And yeah, it's to kind of have that a bit more of an outside perspective and to hear how aligned our missions are in some senses with the retail world outside of the third sector is very exciting. So kind of moving on to that then, we've discussed it briefly when we talk about like circularity, and people within our sector kind of often ask, can everyone win? So how can commercial corporate retailers support the circular economy without impacting the market share and income for charity retailers?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think one of the kind of nice things and the opportunity that the problem of the planet and the damage that the clothing industry in particular can do to the planet is that it's a joint problem, and there's nothing to be gained by going off on one's own, trying to solve it on one's own. I think the coming together of the whole industry with certain other organisations and committees and groups where ideas are exchanged and is a really good thing, and it has that behaviour has really been encouraged, and I think retailers value it. So if we all decide that we're going to use a certain type of, I don't know, recycled polyester, or
Yeah.
there is a way of making sure that the communities in which we serve are better looked after, then it tends to be that without it being a scrabble and a fight to do it first, it tends to be actually it's good for everybody. So let's share that with each other, and so that's a win. I think work definitely. It's a really lovely way of connecting, but it's also right for everyone. So I think that's a win. And then there is an element of competition in the sense that, well, how can someone else do that so well, and perhaps we aren't doing it? Well, then we have to, sharpen up a bit and do better. So everybody's striving to do the right thing, I believe. And working together and learning from each other and competing a bit is good. I think
completely.
the discourage, the kind of greenwashing scandal, if you like, has been a really big learning for everybody. And as I shop now, I notice that people aren't shouting about what they've done in a look at us, aren't we great kind of way. It's almost like embedded into the values of the retailer rather than being a poster child for that retailer. And I believe that's a good thing too. It's authentic, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's not words.
Yeah.
It's meaning.
Yeah.
So that's
Completely.
also a great change, I think. And we've still got a long, long way to go, haven't we? We're still buying too many clothes, and we're still not wearing them for long enough. And I think that sort of striving to deliver better quality garments that will last longer is another kind of trend almost that retailers have it sort of embodied and embraced. And again, that will help charity retail because the quality of the goods will be better, and the life of the garment will be longer, and we all feel good about finding that lovely piece of knitwear or a good coat, don't we? That we think, that's made to last, and it's going to see me out for a few seasons. So lots to be positive about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you're saying about authenticity. And this is what I think we have begun to talk about a lot on this podcast, is bringing it back to human beings and the planet, of course, tapping into that like authentic connection that we get from doing our shopping in a charity shop, is that making that real connection and being able to be like, look at this, I got this and it was sustainable and I can wear it with pride, and it's also really cool because it's made by great designers. So all of that is so exciting.
We just need more people to kind of know about it, and I think it's happening naturally, but perhaps it could go a little bit faster.
Definitely. So where do you see the biggest opportunities for collaboration between charities and commercial retail? Is it just about kind of them donating stock to charity retailers, or is there anything more that we could all do together?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think there is enough working together at the moment, quite honestly. With a bring back scheme, it's very, very helpful to be able to show that goods are coming back, and however many tons of clothing are sold, if we're bringing back a substantial amount to reuse, recycle, etc., that's a great thing. But I don't think many retailers have cracked how to bring back at scale and be able to make it a meaningful kind of contribution. I think that is a big opportunity. And easier bring back schemes will probably only come to fruition through big partnerships and businesses that are able to deal with what's brought back and sort it at scale, and then reuse it in a way that is efficient and truly benefiting the planet.
Yeah, and to make it easier for charities, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because, from my time working in charity retail and for people that we've spoken to, some retailers can be very generous and they say, we've got this stock that's available, but it's got to be picked up this afternoon.
Yeah.
And charities don't always have the resource to have those, number of vans or large enough vans to go and pick it up, or the drivers to do it at such short notice. So there's a lot of goodwill to be able to want to donate that stock. But operationally, sometimes it is definitely where it falls down.
And space to store it, and it's the wrong season.
Yeah, oh God, it's
often.
always the wrong season.
So, all of those things I'm learning a lot more about, big considerations. So, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? See how much more support and opportunity there is.
Absolutely. On that line, really, with like collaboration, collective support, lots of large commercial retailers, when partnering with charities, tend to support national charities. How do you think smaller charities kind of get in there and get that piece of the pie?
Interesting. The local relationships are what counts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, just as an example, in COVID, the local Tesco businesses got really close to the communities in some ways because they needed to for various reasons. People just needed help. And those community relationships were such a motivator for the teams in the stores and for the communities themselves. So that almost kicked off some good kind of local bonds. And I, as a big organization, I think Tesco realized how important the community, and it's at the heart of their purpose now. So building those, making contact, having businesses that are aware, and customers want to support their local community.
Completely.
It's natural for us to have pride in the community, but also want to see people locally benefit, whether that's a school or a hospice or a children's charity, whatever. So I think that opportunity to build those relationships, think more locally, but approach businesses that are local. And that's where I think there's a lot more energy than perhaps we all realise.
Yeah, that is a brilliant point. I completely agree. And I think a lot of the time I'm feeling in my local area that charities and those local partnerships are doing what should be being done elsewhere, and we're picking that up really within the community, which isn't great, but it is an amazing sign of like solidarity and being able to, kind of. I can slowly feel like we're bringing there's a lot of human connection being brought back.
Those human connections really count, don't they? Everybody
Absolutely.
well, not everybody, but a lot of people will think about, I don't know, someone that's got cancer and might need a hospice, or a child or someone who needs a food bank, or, and straight away you want to get in there and do something about it, don't you? And so that energy is so powerful.
Yeah.
And there's more we can do with that, I think. And
Definitely.
using those connections and setting up ways and conversations about how we can support is really important.
So how long have you been a trustee for Isabel now? I think you started as a non-exec or independent director. How long has it been?
So I became a fully fledged trustee about a month ago. And being involved in the retail board was really great. And I could see that, there was something I could be able to help with. And then I fully retired in April. So I got a bit more time. And the more I learned about Isabel Hospice, there was a lot more I thought, I don't know, the clinical side, the decisions that are made about the bigger side of the organisation
Mm.
and the need for funding
Yeah,
and the
definitely.
services that, aren't necessarily helped by government but are provided locally. There's lots of conversations going on, and I just thought, actually, I can make a difference on the trading board, but I'd also love to give a bit more support from an overall point of view. And also it's teaching me something I didn't know about before. So I'm very curious about that and got huge respect for the clinical team. So yeah, so fully fledged trustee since a month ago. And so far I'm really, really enjoying it. Yeah, it's
Great.
great.
Good. Was there anything that you learned or surprised you or gained more appreciation of charity retail since becoming an independent director or trustee for Isabel?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I think, listening in and trying to take in everything I was hearing was really important, because I think I had some preconceptions about how easy it would be to make. I don't know, let's take an example. Think, oh, that charity shop doesn't look very inspiring. The window looks awful. If only someone was there that put together outfits in a beautiful way, then loads more people would come in. And
Mm.
it doesn't work like that,
Yeah.
because often volunteers are coming in and they're doing a short shift. And
Mm-hmm.
so experiencing firsthand the challenges of running a charity retail shop has taught me a lot, and what we all want to do, and perhaps in a commercial organisation might be easier to do because people are paid
Yeah.
employees.
Yeah.
Doesn't work when you're in a charity and you're all kind of relying on goodwill. So I'm learning a lot,
Yeah.
and it's also important to take off the commercial hat sometimes and think about what's the right thing to do,
Mm.
not necessarily the most commercially beneficial straight away. And that's quite a learning. So
Yeah.
yeah, there are huge differences,
Yeah.
but charity needs to be supported more commercially. So,
Mm.
having some of that skill is helpful as
Yeah.
well.
And I think that, we have to remember as well that trustees go on a journey, don't they,
Mm,
as well. So
yeah.
they come in and they soon kind of start to learn before they might question, oh, why haven't they done that? Or why don't they just do this? And actually they then realise, okay, actually it's not a lack of the team wanting to do it or not being able to come up with the ideas to execute it. It is very much about the lack of resources, the lack of funding, the lack of pure time, because you are wearing so many hats at the same time.
Yeah.
You're part therapist, part salesperson, part finance person, part visual merchandising, and you've got to all do
All
those
of it.
things 9 to
Yeah.
5 apparently, but it just
Yeah.
never fits
No.
into that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I do think trustees, I appreciate they go on a journey learning that as well, and then suddenly they kind of change their mindset. Okay, right, what can we do with what we have got? And then as we start to scale up, what is our ambition and what resource do we need
Yeah.
if we do want to get to that? And if we do want to act more like a commercial retailer, what
Mm,
investment do we have to put in place
yeah.
in order to do that? And it's a very fine line then, because costs keep going up, but there is
Mm,
ambition to grow income.
yeah.
And I'm
Ideas are great, but not always helpful, delivered in the wrong way or at the
yeah.
wrong time. And yeah, I think that's a skill in itself, isn't it? Having that empathy to know when to just shut up, listen, and watch and support. Um, but yeah, no better kind of cause, really. Doing something for charity is lovely. It really is lovely.
Yeah.
It feels great.
Oh, that is fantastic. And yeah, it's great to have people on the podcast that are feeling the joys and happiness that comes out of working for charity, working in charity resale. It is just lovely to be able to talk and share those feelings, because obviously, as in any commercial or retail space, it's not always the case, and it's always there are times of great stress, but the pros definitely outweigh the cons in this industry. That's kind of what we've set up this podcast to talk about. So that is
Brilliant.
lovely. On the subject of becoming a trustee, have you got any advice to give to those who are working in the sector, particularly heads or directors of retail and income generation, to really get the most out of their trustees and their board?
Yeah, I think it's a two-way thing. But as Charlotte was alluding to, having a trustee that is there to offer support, not to do the job or dig into the detail, but to get the big picture and ask, where can I be of service and help,
Yeah.
that's a good relationship. And I believe that's what we as trustees are there to do.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's a governance side, but it doesn't start there necessarily. So advice for the organisation in terms of how to get the best from the trustees,
Mm-hmm.
have that informal chat, the one-to-ones, ask for time. I don't think
Yeah.
anyone becomes a trustee thinking, oh, I'm never going to give 10 minutes or a coffee to, they'll be desperate to give
Yeah.
support.
Yeah.
And on those one-to-ones, be honest about, where you need help, perhaps support with other team members,
Mm-hmm.
or you need to share a problem. So I think that trustees hopefully bring a lot of experience in, I don't know, relationships, problem solving, whatever it is. We're all slightly different, of course. But yeah, be open and ask for help and sense check things. I think that trustees would respond really positively to that.
And then kind of looking at leadership traits then, what do you think, what leadership traits do you think matters most in charity retail when budgets and resources are so limited? What do you think matters?
Yeah, good question. I think take time to listen, take time to watch what's going on, and understand. Often if there is a volunteer community of workers, they might be turning up, but have done things the same way for many, many years, and quite difficult to sort of embrace change. Whereas in a commercial organisation, change is expected, and people have to go with the program. So I think, yeah, take your time to learn, listen a bit more than you might have done otherwise, and of course. At certain points, there will be a need for the whole organisation to change. But how do you take people with you? Those leadership skills about, first of all, just being really inclusive and listening to everyone's voice and being a good listener, and thinking about the wider group. It's not just about me yeah, it's about how everyone
Yeah.
shows up and our interests.
Yeah. Another question for me. I've always got to go rogue. Mimi knows this. Retail burnout, that is definitely a real thing, and it's particularly prevalent in charity retail because of the lack of resources and budgets and everyone doing more than one job. So what advice would you give to people who are kind of approaching that kind of retail burnout or are in the throes of it? I know when you and I worked together, my sister passed away this year, and you were particularly helpful in just saying, what are you going through? Tell me what you're going through. How are you? And that meant so much to me, as well as Mel, the chair of the trading board. So for anyone who's kind of experiencing, those kind of things whilst working in charity retail, or are feeling really burnt out with the pressures of ongoing costs, what advice would you give people as someone who's within the sector but has a bit more of a bird's eye view of it?
Yeah, well, I think the stopping, slowing down, and telling someone what's going on, and then allowing yourself to step away is the most important thing. But sometimes when we're in it, we don't see that as being an
Mm-hmm.
option. And it's like any form of burnout. You're only there because you want to do the best for everybody, but actually in doing so, eventually become less effective until, at worst, you can't operate at all or can't function. So I think recognizing that you're hitting that point and opening up and finding someone that you can talk to is so important. Can only
Mm-hmm.
encourage that. Most organizations have someone that's there to talk to, or some form of whistleblowing or speaking up line. And I think, I would encourage everyone to see that as a good thing,
Yeah.
because when certain problems can't be fixed, you can't square a circle, but to have a bit of support. And,
Yeah.
sometimes the right answer is a horrible answer,
Mm.
but you can't take that on your own. And I think trying to carry everything on one's shoulders is tempting to do, but it's so unhealthy. So yeah, I mean, dealing with grief at work is almost impossible, I think.
You're known for leading with emotional intelligence and compassion, which even just from this conversation is completely inspiring. And looking back on your own leadership journey, especially being recognised with the award, what do you hope your legacy inspires in kind of future retail leaders?
Yeah, I don't think it's really complicated. I think it's just the kinder we are to each other, the more it encourages a kinder culture. Simple as that. I think, just all those lovely skills of, listening, putting yourself in someone else's shoes, treating people the way they want to be treated. They can just sound like words sometimes, but if you properly do it, it makes an enormous difference. And the whole
Yeah.
culture of a department or a
Mhm.
division or a function or an organization can really be changed by the people at the top and
Yeah,
then their team.
absolutely.
And then it's how we are as a, quite quickly people learn, don't they? Learn how to be rude, but then equally can learn how to be really welcoming, really open and encouraging and caring and look out for each other. And it brings back so much more in terms of um, loyalty.
For someone who's kind of at the start of their
Mm.
career, it's really inspiring for me to hear you say that, because like I've been working in all types of retail since I was like 16, and to know someone who is as successful as yourself leads with kindness and compassion makes me really excited for what is to come. And yeah, I think just really taps into the humanness, empathy, understanding which like runs through every successful charity retail organisation.
Yeah, Isabel Hospice are really lucky to have you on their trading board as a trustee. And I know they do an excellent job as well. But yes, to kind of answer the question on everyone's lips then, everyone can win, but only if we do build a system that is kind of built for shared value. Collaboration between sectors is really key, because reuse and resale are no longer nice to have. It's at the core of the future of retail. And leaders are really, really important to model that kind of sustainability and to empower innovation, and give people the space and the time to be able to think outside the box and drive that income. If your charity wants to review its strategy or its retail offer or income model, or if you want your leadership teams to use Myers-Briggs MBTI to help influence your board or committees, then we at the Charity Retail Consultancy can definitely help. So MBTI provides a proven framework to help individuals and teams understand themselves and each other better, and that helps to lead to stronger collaboration, smarter decision making, and improved results as well. So do get in touch.
And now it is our favourite time in the podcast. We like to do a charity shop shout out with our guest. So that can be someone that's inspired you, a group of people, a head of retail or a volunteer. So Jan, do you have a charity retail shout outs that you'd like to give on the
Oh,
podcast?
it's really difficult to almost, I have to choose Isabel Hospice because it's very close to my heart. And then if I think about all the 17 shops and the people that work in the head office and the trustees and the CEO, they're all great. But my favourite shop is the old Welling Village shop, which is the boutique, which sells some really lovely, quite high value clothes and always something special in there. So I think as an experience, go and give that a look. Can't choose an individual. It was lovely working with you, Charlotte, though. You did a lot and shouldered a lot, and did about 3 people's jobs at one time. So I think you deserve a shout out.
Oh, thank you, Jan. I loved my time there. My team were fantastic. So I don't normally do a shout out on the podcast, but I am going to give a shout out to Jane and Sam, the two Sams in marketing and in retail, who I had to leave, but they are doing an incredible job. And I hear they're doing great things with the new me, and good luck to them all because they really, truly deserve to succeed. So I'm really excited to see what they are doing. So Jan, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really inspiring to kind of hear your insights into circularity, leadership and the future of retail. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You've got just such a nice calming aura about you.
Oh, thank you.
so-
Thank you. It's been lovely. Feels like just a nice coffee and a great chat. But yeah, anytime.
Thank you so much. And to everyone listening, if you have enjoyed this episode, please feel free to follow the podcast and share it with someone who cares about sustainability and the future of retail. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at The Charity Retail Consultancy.
And of course, give Isabel Hospice a follow as well on Instagram. They are Isabel Hospice Shops. So make sure you go follow them and see all the fantastic pre-loved goods they have in their shops and on eBay as well. And Sam, you can give me my payout for that little shout out later. No, I'm only joking. They do a great job. Well done, guys, at Isabel Hospice. Charity shops are full of stories that deserve to be told, and we always love sharing them with you. So thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.